Hello, I just took out my roast chicken. It was already cooked, but I just put it in the ovens. I added some carrots and some rice to the mix here, and it looks really good. This is my first major meal that I'm making in it, and had it in there for, I would say, about 30 to 45 minutes to make sure the rice cooked through. So, yep, just gonna let it cool for a while. Not too long, probably about, I'll say about 20 minutes. I'm gonna let it cool down a bit. And, so I'm very proud of this. It looks really good. Yep, carrots and rice, basically. And I use milk that, um, how can I describe it without anyone getting, funny about it? I always say soured milk. Curdled milk, I don't want people to think, oh, she's cooking with bad moldy milk. It's definitely not moldy. It's kind of like what happens when you add vinegar to milk and you're creating homemade buttermilk. It's the same concept, except with this kind of milk, I don't have to add anything to it. It naturally separates the curds from the whey. The curds are the protein solids that are in the milk, and the whey is the liquid remaining behind. Uh, so it just naturally does it on its own. But the way you do it is you leave it out of room temperature, or you want to put it somewhere where it's not hot and just leave it in that one spot, not hot and not too cold either. It's kind of like room temp, but definitely really mild temperature, and you want to leave it like that so that it will do it. But you just don't touch it. Just leave it alone in the milk carton, and it'll naturally do it on its own. It may take a few days. It just depends on how often it's been removed in and out the refrigerator. Because anytime you have milk out in the air and it's not in a cold environment, it's already starting to do that. The lactic acid is already starting to create that separation, the longer you keep it out. And that's why we grow up always being told, make sure you put the milk back in the refrigerator, because that's what happens. And we also were told that what happens is the milk goes bad. And the reality is it doesn't go bad. Milk goes bad when it has a funky smell and when it has like a different color. If it turns like green and gray and look like something's going on in a weird way, I mean, it's common sense. But when I say a funky smell, I'm not talking about a soured milk smell. That's not bad. That's what happens when it's separating. And you will see that it's just food science. You just have to try it out. Just leave out some milk in a small container. Just pour a little bit. Don't waste all your milk. Just test it out and you'll see what I'm talking about. Put it in a location where it's not hot, not too cold. You want to put it where it's temperate, but and you can't really feel cold or hot. Just leave it there and let it sit there for a few days and watch how it separates. And look in there every once in a while and you'll see and you'll smell that it's separating the sourness of the milk. But we have been told a lot of fibs about that, and it is only through research that I've learned this, and also because of learning about how to make homemade buttermilk. So naturally, it was going to be something I looked into. So, but yeah, this is what I made in my new Cuisinart 3.5 quart white matte exterior saute pan. It has a thermobond encapsulated base where it heats really fast and real evenly because it's an aluminum core, and in the middle of this. So and it feels like it. It really does. The first thing I made, it cooks heats up really fast. So I know this is really cooked all the way through. And the lid is interesting too. I read that it's like a vacuum seal lid. If it's in heat for or high heat and you remove it from high heat, it tends to latch on, and that is to keep the food inside, to keep it heated, or to keep the moisture trapped in. So they say if you struggle trying to pull the lid off, just it says something about add it to heat again, or I guess put it back in a heated place. I don't know. Add heat underneath it. I would say under the pan. Add a little heat to it, and it should loosen up. That's what they say. If you struggle to get the lid off, because it literally vacuum seals shut, and that's all made just to make sure that it's secure when you're cooking, and and it won't slide off and all that crazy stuff. So I mean, that's a good feature, but if you don't know that, you would be like losing your mind wondering why the lid won't come off if that ever happens. So it's pretty neat. It's a lot of maintenance instructions about it, but it's not so bad. I also read that and you see how the moisture is collecting, the condensation, and you see it on the top part. That's the heat that's still trapped inside. But I read also that to wash it, it's best to hand wash. And it says it's dishwasher safe, but it specified that it's best not to do that, just in case it knocks up against other dishes or pots or pans or lids or anything, so that it doesn't damage it. I did read to use non-lemon detergent, so it specified that in two different uh, ways that I read about it. Mild detergent, warm or hot water, but hot water is fine. They also say if food sticks to anything inside, they say soak it. Um, Put like I think say like an inch of hot water and let it soak with some dish detergent for I think it said like an hour or so. But I think they're basically trying to say just let it soak. Let the sediment, or the I say sediment, let the debris or whatever from food or whatever, let it just loosen up from the water in the detergent, and just let it just get soft instead of worrying your head off about it, and just let it do its thing, just chill out. And the funny thing is, I've always done that when it comes to anything that gets stuck in a pan. I've been doing that long, long before all this that I know now. I always would put hot water in a pan. I may turn the heat up under it on the stove, like turn one of the burners on, not too high, just turn it up, like, just enough to get it boiling. And then just let it do its thing, and just make sure the water doesn't boil all out, so it doesn't, so the pan's not on direct fire or flame, so it doesn't cause any damage. And yeah, just let it boil for a moment, turn it off, and then let it cool down a bit, and try to clean it that way, or just dump out the water, put some more water in with some detergent, and just try to clean it with a soft sponge. That's what I've always done. I don't know what other people have been doing, but that's how I've always handled stuff. And I'm thinking about what else is um and I did read that the handle does get hot. It can get hot, like in an oven, of course, because that's metal. So I used my dish towel. uh I shouldn't say dish towel. It's really not a dish towel. It's really a bath towel that I moonlight as a dish towel, and I wrapped it around it like really tightly, and I pulled it out. The drawback that customers have said about this is that it tends to be kind of heavy, and it is. It's 4 pounds, and I'm trying to figure out how the heck this thing is 4 pounds, but it is. When I put it in, it was heavy, And it is very important to not use one hand to hold that. You need to use both your hands and grip. You need to grip it and make sure that you have everything open and ready when you're putting it in. This door was open, so I made sure that door was open so that I was ready to put this in. And but taking it out is what you have to be ready for. Like I have a whole chicken, well, mostly a whole chicken. The I ate the wings and the legs, and I think I ate both the thigh and the legs of the chicken, but the body of the bird or the chicken, is in this pot with. We're talking about rice that's cooked up, fluffed up in it. We're talking about carrots that I put in there too. I mean, and then added liquid too, and liquid and fat that have come off the chicken. So it gained some pounds, while it was cooking. It gained some weight, and it feels like it. So I was prepared. I had my towel wrapped around the handle. I pulled this thing out, and made sure I put it up on this stove top because it's okay. Let it rest for a second, let it cool down, and then I'll be able to eat it. So um, I'm trying to think what else I learned about this pot. People had some issues um, with the white coming off, or and they said that if you want to maintain that part, you definitely don't want to put it in the dishwasher. Just hand wash it. I don't even understand why people are out here like throwing everything in the dishwasher. If something is non-stick, it kind of makes sense to just hand wash. That means that if something's non-stick or it is boasting to have a slick interior, for instance. I mean, this one's not really saying that, but I'm just making a point here. If you have cookware or bakeware that is non-stick and is smooth and everything comes out without much of any sticking, then why on earth are you having to put it in the dishwasher? It should be so clean. That is ridiculous to do. All you have to do is take a sponge and just wipe it out. Like they always want to show these chefs on TV taking a good clean white dish towel and then going through something that's red tomatoes or brown and that drives me crazy. And they be wiping it out, trying to emphasize how clean you can make it. But I'm just like, you gotta let people realize that they need to wash that. That is not the right way to do it, because somebody out here is taking a good clean towel and they are wiping out, residual from a pan or a pot because it's supposed to be easy cleaning when they really should be putting some soap and water to it, because somebody out here is doing that and they're putting it away like it's clean. And I mean, you just never know. People get misinformed, and that's just not how you do it. You need to put some soap and water to something and clean it out. Rinse it out first if there's any residue, and then put some soap and water. That's all you got to do, and it should only take you like a minute because it's non-stick. It's not going to be any hard, rubbing or scrubbing or any type of, elbow grease you got to put into it. Just do that simple step and you're done. But don't be taking towels and stuff and, you know, wiping stuff out and calling that clean. That is not sensible whatsoever. That will collect bacteria. You will have, rodents and probably even insects and all kinds of stuff coming in because you doing something silly like that, because they can smell everything. There's still going to be a scent remaining from doing it that way. That's why we wash with soap and water in the first place. I mean, come on now. We got to use some common sense out here. But anyway, I'm trying to think what else. It said also with this pot, it's best to use silicone cooking tools and wooden cooking tools. You can use metal, but they definitely specified it will leave scratches. And if you don't want scratches in your pan, don't do it. Don't. It even mentioned a hand mixer. like the beaters of a hand mixer, it will leave scratches unless you have like one with silicone, like a silicone cover or secure type of protective cover on the blades of it, or the whisk blades, so that it won't do that. Because I know some makers out here, I know some professionals have done that. Instead of it being a straight up metal whisk, they put silicone shield over it, just like you see on tongs, and even on a fish spatula you see that some are made that way, just to protect um the interior of these pots and pans and stuff, so that they maintain their structure longer, so you don't have to keep on buying stuff. I mean, they what they did say is it's okay, you're just going to leave scratches, but the good thing about stainless steel is it's not going to leach into your food, and you don't have to worry about getting sick or it being cancerous or anything, because it's stainless steel. It is durable, it is long lasting, and it will outperform mostly anything. You don't have to worry about that. It's just like cast iron. And I finally have gotten my understanding about carbon steel, because I was under a big misconception about it, thinking that it was, like it was dangerous. I know I read something somewhere. I'm not reading stuff and just flying off the handle. I really do go through resources. I'm reading and reading and reading. I have to read things over again just to make sure I'm on point. I'm trying to be on point and accurate about what I'm learning about cookware and all these coatings and stuff in the interior. And so I finally got an understanding today that carbon steel is safe. It's not like Teflon. I think I may have been reading about Teflon and may have saw carbon steel in there. I don't know. But it's Teflon. Teflon is man-made, is synthetic, and it is the one that gives off cancerous fumes if it's left unattended, or if it's way too high and it starts giving off smoke. Teflon will kill your bird. That's how serious it is. It will cause a bird to die, and it will cause a poisoning in you as well if you ingest too much of the exhaust, or the fumes of it. You will get sick in a bad way. That's why uh, the founder of Caraway created his stuff, created his line with Caraway, because of that reason, because he got sick. So Teflon is the one that's a dangerous thing, and I'm just keeping it real. I wouldn't touch that stuff. If anyone has it, it would be best for you to let it go, because you run the risk of something happening, and you may not even mean for it to happen. You may be careful as you try to be, but I'd rather, for me, in my opinion, I'd rather have something that works for me, that I don't have to worry if I make an error or not. If something happens to it in any way, it's not going to harm me. So cast iron is another one. Cast iron is good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like stainless steel. If you were to scratch it, the particles of cast iron, it actually, carbon steel is the same way, I think. And I say I think, so I'm trying to remember here. I think to be safe, I'm not going to even say that. I'm going to stick to cast iron. Cast iron is actually good for you, for women especially, because we go through our monthly cycles. And we're never really, I think, at capacity when it comes to our iron levels. I think with women, we're constantly dealing with iron deficiency. So cast iron is good for you, to have, to cook with it, because it gives off a little iron, and that's good for, you know, women, and I'm assuming for men too. Men don't need as much iron as we do, unless a guy, is has been in an environment that he's been treated poorly, or he's going through something and has malnutrition, that's a whole nother situation. But for women, I don't think we can ever get enough iron in our diet. So it's good for us to use cast iron when we can. And, but I swear with carbon steel, said something about it, but I don't want to say anything that I'm not certain about. So I'm going to have to reread that again, because I swore they were saying something that, even with carbon steel, it's like cast iron. You know, it, I don't want to say that. I'm going to stick to cast iron. I'm not going to say that carbon steel is okay if you get any flaking or any type of that. I don't want to say that. So if you know something about it, and you know whether that's good or not, then share that information with other people and make sure that you don't forget it. But from what I understand, carbon steel is safe. And I actually was looking at some on eBay. Um, so that'll be in the future. Right now, I'm good with what I got. I was just needing something to replace the last pan I had. And this was $25 on eBay. They're actually selling many of them. So you just have to find the right price range that works for you. But I got it for $25, and with tax it came to 26. And so far it's managing for me. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's not what I'm used to, but I just have to take my time with it. It's not as heavy as the always pan that I had. I don't think it's as heavy as that one. Um, that's real cast iron. Cast iron is super heavy. It's not as heavy as that, but it's pretty heavy to say that it's 4 pounds. Ugh, Lord, I'm not used to 4 pounds. But this is a saute pan. It has high walls. It has measurements on the inside, which I like. And the metal on the inside, it feels interesting to me. It feels like it's a sturdy metal. Uh, it's interesting. That's all I can really say. It's really, the metal on the inside is interesting. I've seen it before, but it's been a long time. I've never owned anything by Cuisinart. This is my first cookware from them, and and I actually like them as a brand. I like what they're coming out with. I like what they're thinking of. And this was like a new item that I saw on eBay. I haven't seen this before, so this was interesting. It just popped up, and it was new. So I was like, okay, this is awesome. And it falls in line with everything that I respect about the stuff that I want to have, with stainless steel, and aluminum is not the primary coating, because I just don't trust that. Even though I know a little bit more about aluminum, I took time to research more about it. um, it's not as dangerous as I thought, but I'm not going to retract on that completely. There's still some questionable things about aluminum as the actual exterior, instead of it being encapsulated. There's a reason why it's within, is in between the stainless steel in the making of cookware, and not on the surface. I read that heavy gauge aluminum is more durable than the anodized aluminum. That one is more exposed. There's an oxidation process that is done with the heavy gauge to basically coat over the aluminum, and it helps it to be more durable, no chipping, less flaking, um, and but it's supposed to reduce all the potential dangers of aluminum, but it's still too many questionable things about it that would keep me from ever using it. I just rather be safe than sorry, and I'm not that particular about things. I am just fine with something like this, where the aluminum is within, because what aluminum does is meant to heat evenly and heat fast. and that's fine. I don't have to have it to be on the surface to do that. And what I read about aluminum is it's something that you don't want to overheat. It's not meant to be overheated. It can be dangerous, from the way it can degrade, from high heat. But I think that's anodized aluminum. Yeah, it's mostly about, kind of like the fumes that come out of it. That's really what the concern is about aluminum. And because aluminum in and of itself is not a danger. It's just when you're using it as cookware, you have to be mindful, because you don't want anything degrading or losing its ability or power, because if it starts degrading, it gets into your food, and then that goes in your body, and we wonder why that we're all struggling with different things. I mean, it could be just as simple as just our or how we're handling our cookware. you know the reasons why people are getting cancer and getting sick really bad. It could be just that simple, and I believe that is one of the reasons. We have to be responsible, careful, and mindful. We have to care, because this is a primary source of life for us. Everyone has to eat something. And if we're not handling our cookware right, or it's being made improperly, we are making ourselves really the subject matter of great illness. We're bringing that into ourselves very easily when we shouldn't have to, or it could be avoided completely. It just matters about what we're doing. So I think that's all I can think of with this. I'm not sure. What else did I read about it? And basically they just said just use silicone and wooden cooking utensils with handling this, so I don't have to worry about scratches, because it work out. And I did use a spoon that was like recycled material that is really soft, so it really it does work out. It does heat up really fast. And also another thing about aluminum is that it heats up so fast that if you're not careful, your food will burn. You have to be a very attentive person. You can't be someone who just waits for water to heat up. It will heat up really quickly, because that's how hot aluminum gets. You put water in an aluminum pan or pot, it's going to heat up within seconds. Um, because that's how hot it can bring it, especially when it's all over. But yeah, if you're not careful, aluminum can burn your food, scorch it, and that's another thing. I honestly did not know anything about this, and I need to be more aware. It is very unhealthy, and not even unhealthy. It is dangerous. And I'm not even gonna like retract on this. I'm not going to hold back on this, because you can read it for yourself. It is unsafe to let food burn and then eat it. If something gets too burnt, you really need to throw it away, because what happens is chemically something happens to food, that when it burns, that burnt part is extremely not good for our bodies. We should not be consuming anything that burns. I don't even care if it's popcorn. You may like your popcorn burnt, but you don't need to be eating that. You need to throw it away. Some people like burnt food and some people don't. Even burnt toast. If your toast over if your toast burns a little bit, I mean, I think I was reading something about, can you scrape it off or not? And to be honest, I don't even know if that really makes a difference. I think you need to just throw it away. And it would suck if it's your last piece of bread and you burn it. But it's a difference between one little piece of toast that you wish you had, and then having cancer, and having to fight cancer and pray that you live through it, by how aggressive it can get. You just don't know. It's not worth it. It's so not worth it. It really isn't. Just throw the damn thing away And if you want toast so bad, get in your car and go to the store and buy you some more bread. Or better yet, use what you got at home and make you a biscuit. Make you some biscuit or something. Get a recipe for how to make bread in a quick way or something. I don't know. Make mayonnaise bread. Get you some mayonnaise if you got some up in your house. Get some flour, some salt, some baking powder, unless you have self-rising flour. Get a little sugar, and make you some mayonnaise bread. I mean, look up the recipe. It's real easy, and it won't take you long. 15 minutes, I think, at most. I let mine sit in the oven for at least 20 to 25 minutes. It just depends on what you're making it in. I made it in small little metal tins. I made it in a in a pan like that one. You know, I've what else I've done? I made it in my little cocotte. You know, I mean, you can make it in anything that can heat up, anything that can heat up, and you can use as a cooking vessel. You can do it in anything. Actually, anything that we eat, you can cook it in anything. I had a ceramic bowl. I shouldn't say ceramic bowl. It was a stoneware bowl, and that was coated with a glaze, an enamel glaze, I think, and I used it a lot in the oven. And I used to make my bread a lot in that too. So it just depends on what you have. I miss my bowl. It was a Gibson Elite bowl. I had four of them, and everything happened to them. So, it wasn't based on the stove or the oven. It had nothing to do with the cooking of it. It was just other factors around me that had caused something bad to happen to them. And I had to get rid of at least maybe two of them for the stupid reasons, and also because they broke. Another thing is also, I think it said, is be mindful of of temperatures. When you put like a pan into an oven that's hot, make sure it's not cold. Make sure that it is at a right temperature for that. A super hot oven with, like, a pan or a bowl or anything that's oven safe that's cold, it can cause I forgot the name. I forgot what it's called. Shock. What do they call it? Shock. I can't remember. It's something to do with the word shock. When it involves temperature, just make sure that your cookware is at the right temperature when you put it in the oven, so that it doesn't get brittle and break and crack and all that stuff, because that will happen. Never put like a frozen bowl or pot or pan in a super hot oven. You're asking for it. If you do that, you're going to ruin the hell out of it. Do not do it. It may blow up. Who knows? And I'm not trying to, I know I'm overreacting there. It will break though. It may pop. Who knows? I never done anything like that, and I'm not trying to test it out. But it will break down, and it will crack. It will break, and I think that did happen a few times with what I had, because I may have used cold liquid and put it in the bowl, and it made the bowl cold. That's another thing. If your bowl is at room temperature and you put something cold in it, make sure that you are ready to put that in the oven as well. Because if it gets it cold, then it becomes, potential for cracking and breaking. So you don't want to do that either in a hot oven. Um, I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything else I could say about this pot. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I got the gist of it. If there's anything else, I'll come back around and mention it. But no, I think that's it. There's other parts. It is part of a collection. So I did see some saucepans that have the white mat on it, and the gold type of finish on the handle and the lid handle. Um, And they have some saucepans. I did see some fry pans. It's not that many, it's just a few pieces. And there's also one in a black matte, meaning that the exterior is black, it's not white. But I think the handles are gold. I think all the that is gold too. So I did see that on eBay if you're interested. Um, and that's pretty much it. This is replacing a saute pan I got from Walmart. It by their private label mainstays. It was and before I knew what I knew now, it was actually a synthetic coated pan, um, a non-stick coated pan. I can't think of what it could have been coated with, but I hope it wasn't Teflon, but it may have been. And it was an aluminum, uh, mostly aluminum too. So you have to really read on stuff. You just have to educate yourself. I didn't realize it was all those different things. It did heat up really fast, and that does tell me a lot about it. Um, but it did create a good sear, and then that's the bonus of something that heats up really fast. You will get a very good browning in a sear, and that's what happened when I was making my my 20 minute, I say 20 minute, less than 20 minute stovetop chicken thighs. I did a few times with in that pan. It you have to get it really hot, and I didn't turn it up like all the way cranked up, but I had it at like medium high heat. And um and I just put oil that was at room temperature in it, and I swirled it around in it, and had my chicken already seasoned and ready to go. I laid it skin side down in the pan, and just and it was sizzling right away. It was so hot. I put the lid on it, and to me, I think that's key for doing that, because I think people are uncomfortable about chicken thighs, about them being cooked thoroughly. That's just a quick version to do it. If you want it to break down further, you can always put it in the oven, like I notice a lot of people like to do. Um, or you could, yeah, they put in the oven. But so how I did it was I put the lid on it, and I just left it alone. Just don't even mess with it. It did its thing. It had a very loud, roaring, searing going on that I could hear, and I knew that it was working. When it started to subside and get quieter and softer, I knew it was time to flip it over. And usually that took around like 6 to 8 minutes, I would say, maybe less than that. I would say 6 to 8 minutes, up to 6 minutes. And I would flip it over and then let it do the other side, and just let it go on for up to maybe 8 to 10 minutes. And I just left it alone. I kept the lid on it. That trapped the heat in, that trapped the moisture in. And to me, that is what made it effectively work for stovetop chicken thighs. You must put the lid on it. Trap that heat in there. Trap that moisture that's coming off of all that chicken, so that it will all be trapped inside, just like you see right here. Like all the condensation, all of that is staying within the pot. It's not going nowhere. And and I think that's the best bet, the best thing to do. And and then when it's done, it'll be brown all over, and it's very good. I mean, I wouldn't have done that without doing research first. I think it was on um I don't know. It's like my memory is kind of silly right now, or wonky. Uh, it was called, it was something .net, chefcooking.net. I can't remember. I don't know. I would just say, just do a search on how to cook chicken thighs on the stove top, and just follow that. But take my advice And I'm telling you, this is the best way to do it. Make sure you have a lid or some type of cover over the chicken thighs. If you don't have a lid, take some foil and just carefully put it on top so it traps the heat in. The best conductor of heat or trapping in heat and moisture when you don't have a lid is foil. Just put it on top and it'll do its thing. And then, and then when you're ready to flip it over, just flip it over, pull it up and then put it back on. And then you have some good stovetop chicken. You'll enjoy it. But that's all I gotta say. I know this is the longest. This is a 40-minute video that I've been showing. Literally a removed cooking pot here. But I have a picture of it as well, or I am going to take a picture of it. I have a before picture and I'm going to show an after picture. Because I'm not sure if I even showed this. No, I came in here literally video recording this. You saw it from inside the pan before all this condensation formed. You saw it right when I took it out. So yeah, that's it. I think the lid was up. I hope. I'm telling you, my memory sucks. Anyway, it's okay. I know, I mean, it's not too bad because I remembered enough about this pot to talk about it. So that's it. I just wanted to give that information just to say this is my first time using it for the oven for a full meal. And the first time I used it, I was making, it was a Reese's and chocolate chip, Reese's Pieces, chocolate chip, peanut butter cookie uh, mix. I tried to make like a cookie, a skillet cookie or a pan cookie cake with it. And it instead of it turning out the way I wanted to, it was really crumbly. And it's because of what I used for it. But it still was tasty. But I wouldn't do it again. Never use mayonnaise when you're making cookies. It just doesn't work. You need eggs. You need an egg or something equivalent to an egg. A mayonnaise is too emulsified for that. It's just, it's just experimenting. But it would make a good crust though. So if you're trying to make like a pie crust or anything like that, you can use mayonnaise then because it's just crumbly enough for it. So with that being said, that ends this video with this. And happy eating, everyone. See you later. Bye.